Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game.
What's your most recent world champion?
Siri. Yeah. Was it 2021?
Yeah. WTDA, wasn't it?
WTDA, and I think 2021, and she also won the National Current Feist.
Series won 6 world hunts now. That's her sixth title.
Yes. She has 3 squirrel titles, a coon title, and 2 combination titles.
Very nice. Now, what's she out of?
She is out of iPod and a little female me and Chuck had sold, which her name is Nana.
Okay.
Yep.
They're all Jukebox bred somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
We're hunting her, and we're hunting another dog called High Voltage now, and Blake's handling him. And he's doing real well with him. He's done really well for the last number of years. We won quite a bit of money with him last year. But Syrian High Voltage right now are the two. We also have a dog called Joe Dirt. He won a world hunt about 2 years ago. And we have 34 world champions from our kennel. That's not as if we sold you a dog and you put a world title on it. That is actually what we won just from the Jukebox kennel itself.
Okay. Do you have a number of world hunts beyond that? Like you said, people that you've sold dogs to?
No, we never really kept track of that because what happens sometimes is they don't use the Jukebox surname, so we lose track of them down the road. Or someone else bought the dog, and then we may find out later that it was a Jukebox dog. But
yeah,
no, the 34 is just what we won from our kennel itself.
Okay. Now, for all the listeners, if you haven't figured out, we're talking Jukebox Mountain Curs today. And I have with me
Chuck Gaito.
Ronnie Smith.
Blake Perkins.
You guys are Jukebox Kennels, and the guys are hunting these dogs. But let's start with the beginning. Chuck, where did all this start?
Well, it was probably back around 1989. I bought my first squirrel dog down at the Kenton Nationals. That's in Kenton, Ohio. It was a big Labor Day event down there. They had lots of dogs. That's where you could take your lights to get them worked on. Lots of people. In the later years, it turned into kind of a flea market type of situation.
I've heard some crazy stories about it.
Oh, it was. It was a lot of fun. I still wish it was still going on. And so I bought that first dog there, and then I bought Jukebox about 89, 90, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And he went on to win 10 world hunts. We just didn't, we just thought we had a squirrel dog, and pretty soon we thought he's a little bit better than normal, and we started hunting him, and we started adding it up. And then we started breeding him, and we've been very successful over the years. We're still winning world hunts.
I'd say so.
It started a long time ago, and we're still having a blast doing it. Ronnie and Blake and Mark, they put a number of titles on the dogs, and they deserve a lot of credit as late here, but it's been a really great ride. It really has. Met a lot of people, made a lot of friends, sold a lot of pups and along the way, and that's where we're here today. But these guys right here, they're doing a great job.
Now, when you said you bought Jukebox, was he a puppy or a starter dog, finished dog?
He didn't have anything won on him. His original name was Choctaw Chief, and how we came up with the name Jukebox, I'll never know. He was about a year and a half maybe when I bought him. The guy that owned him previously brought him to my house in the fall. I hunted him through the winter into the spring, and he came back in the spring and said he had to have him back. I tried everything in my power to buy him, and he didn't want to sell him. We had a young pup. It got hit by a car, so I had to go back down to see him to get another pup, and after a little and long conversation, I ended up getting him bought.
Nice.
And part of the agreement was he wanted to hunt him in the NKC World Hunt in Forest City, Arkansas. He thought he was good enough to hunt and win the hunt. And there were 5 rounds, and Sunday afternoon, Jukebox won his first World Hunt.
Very nice.
Very good dog, and probably the biggest thing is he's a heck of a reproducer.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still hunting that line of dog.
Yep.
He had something special in him, I guess.
Definitely. I hunted a daughter off of him, and I really liked her. And, and that was, I hunted her fairly regularly. I'm not even, like we were talking, hunted with Charlie a couple times in a couple hunts, but.
We made a lot of friends and over these dogs. So, and we got a lot of repeat customers. And like I said, we just keep lucky enough and blessed enough to win.
Yeah.
We don't have the only dogs out there. There's a lot of other really, really good dogs out there.
Mm-hmm.
We've just been real fortunate in the original mountain curs. I think that us and there's some other breeders that we kind of trade back and forth. We put a little of their blood in our stuff, and we put a little of our blood into their stuff. And
yeah,
I think it's just turned out to be some real tough mountain curs out there.
Definitely. So what are some other notable dogs that have come from the kennel after Jukebox?
iPod.
Well, iPod's a little further down the road. Let's go right after Jukebox.
Probably Augie, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had Jukebox Augie. He won 5 world hunts. And Jukebox Bud, he was a world champion. Jukebox Carbon Copy. Let's see, we had Jukebox Babe. Jukebox Charlie.
Bondo.
Yep, Bondo was a heck of a dog, too. Who am I forgetting?
Then it was probably iPod, and then, iPod, and then we started Siri and High Voltage and Joe and Timber and Charlie. And, we just had some good dogs take the hunts, I guess.
And you guys not only competition hunt, you guys kill some squirrel and coon with these dogs, that's for sure.
Well, that's what we all have in common. We just love to go hunting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, that's just what we do. If we're not hunting, we're talking about hunting, or we're talking about how we can make the dogs better, change something that we've been doing to make it better. And that's just what.
That's I know, I probably speak for all, that's my life.
Mm-hmm.
I go to work and I hunt.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm ate up with it. I always have been. And then I got hooked up with Chuck. We're probably pushing 20 years now that we've been.
Okay.
And I guess I've always, been always dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I had beagles, I had hounds, and I was actually how I got into squirrel hunt. I was helping Craig Williams had bought a pup off of Chuck, and I was hunting him for him, and man, this is fun. So I ended up went down. I lived 2 miles from Chuck, knew who he was, didn't really.
Yeah.
Ended up go down there and bought a pup off of him, and I've been squirrel hunting ever since.
There you go.
And that was before me and him actually become partners. That was several years before that.
Okay.
So, yeah, and we've had a good partnership, I think.
And then we also had Mark in the mixed. We got Blake. He's ate up with it. Both these guys here, they eat and sleep it. We got Jake Perkins. He helps us too. It's just between one of us. There's a dog going to the woods quite a bit.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And Ronnie's when it's time to go, it's time to go. Ronnie will come in and he'll walk back to this spot and then back to this spot, and it's like it's time to go. He doesn't want to visit. He wants to go to the woods.
It was probably, 7 years ago when you guys brought me on?
Yeah. Yep.
I hunted hounds my whole life. Thought, man, I want to try this squirrel hunting thing.
There you go.
And I seen they had a pup for sale, and I messaged them and ended up buying it. And it wasn't very long after that, Ronnie sent me a message. He said, hey, you want to go hunting in the morning? Well, one thing led to another, and this is my life. I bought a house 5 minutes away from the kennel just
so you could be there, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
So how many dogs do you guys typically keep in the kennel?
Oh, my wife listens to this podcast. I don't know if we want to
Mine
let
might
that out.
have to make her first trip to the kennel.
She thinks there's 3 out there.
Yeah.
No, we've got a number. Ronnie and I both have a kennel full, and Blake keeps some of the dogs down there at his place. And yeah, we've got some females now that we just use. We can't hunt them all. We might champion them out or maybe like their bloodlines real well, what they have. But when they start getting some age on them, we're working on the next generation coming up. And we're fortunate enough we've got 4 generations of world champions. We're 4 deep working on the 5th one.
Okay. It's impressive. Like I said, that's why I wanted to talk to you guys. I mean, I've hunted with some jukebox bred dogs, or stuff that maybe partly go back to it. So, and I've always liked it. That's why I wanted to definitely talk to you. But the consistency of the line is one thing that really stood out to me. There's not too many people that can say they've won world champion after world champion with multiple generations. It's not just that one superstar dog. It's the consistency of every generation.
And it seems like every year the competition gets stiffer and stiffer. I mean, when you haul to a hunt, and you're looking at 60 head there, that's the best in the country. You got to be on your A game.
Yeah.
And, it's about getting your lucky breaks. And, you know that as well as anybody.
Now, what registries are you guys hunting in now?
NSD, USDC, OMCBA,
WTDA,
National Current Feist.
And we did some NKC too.
NKC
Okay.
also.
We did some UKC. He actually won the
Triple Crown.
Triple Crown with high voltage this year. So
Okay. So you guys literally hunt just about everything.
where we can with our with our work schedules and when we can get off. And I mean, we'd like to hunt more, but you know, it's just
There's weekends that Ronnie will be in Tennessee, and me and Jake and Jared or whoever else is left there at the kennel, we'll load up and we'll try to hit a money hunt here close to the house. And
The squirrel hunts have come a long ways. It used to be one or two registries that everybody hunted in, and as the years go on, this registry started. Now there's some really old registries, but there's also some fairly new ones.
Yeah,
and a lot of the new ones, it's more of the money hunts. The old registries were more of a titled hunt. Maybe you were hunting for a dog box or some kind of hunting gear and stuff like that. And now the new hunts are a lot more money driven.
Yeah. I think that's kind of common in both the coonhound world and the squirrel dog world now.
absolutely.
So with everything going up in price, people kind of want something back out of it.
Well, it costs a lot if you want to say, to run the kennel. It does. It costs a lot to go to the hunts.
It does.
And the entry fees alone can eat you up. I mean, some people have some money behind them, and that's great. And maybe I'm a little jealous of that. But truthfully, I mean, and there's a lot of good people in this. I mean, and there's a lot, like, kind of going back to what Blake said. You go to these hunts now, and any dog there really could win the hunt.
Yeah.
If a dog gets on a roll, yeah, he's hot for a while, but that's what everybody goes through. But any dog that enters that hunt, the guys didn't drive this far, and they didn't pay that entry fee because they didn't think they could win it.
Yep.
So dogs are tough. The people are great, and it's really a popular sport right now.
Do you guys tend to squirrel hunt more, or do you guys coon hunt? Both?
Oh, we definitely squirrel hunt more.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Are most of those world champion squirrel hunts?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, look at your pictures. You guys looks like you guys put some time in the coon woods.
Oh, we do, and there's a lot of times we won the state squirrel hunt. I know Charlie was never hunted on coon. We won the state squirrel hunt. We stayed for the coon hunt. He won the coon hunt that night.
We did the same thing with Siri at the World Hunt.
Right. iPod
Yep.
did the same thing. Babe did the same thing. Never was out at night. We squirrel hunted her during the day, won the state squirrel hunt, and then we would we took them out the night for the first time, and we won the coon hunt with them. So I guess if we hunt them during the day, we call them our squirrel dogs. If we hunt them at night, we call them our coon dogs. But they'll go either way. Most of them will. I'm not saying everyone will, but most of them will. And sometimes you thought they liked squirrel hunting, and the next thing you know, they like coon better than squirrel, and that happens sometimes.
And most of the ones we do coon hunt, they're the older. The dogs were not competition hunting anymore.
Okay.
It might just be me, but I always paranoid. I don't want to get a dog that I think they can fall in love with coon.
Yeah.
And then when you're out there hunting early in the morning, they're trying to run an old coon track instead of treeing a squirrel, and that's just. That I don't know. It just might be me. It might be in my head. But
no, I think that's very smart. And you've got a point, because I've seen dogs that pick one game over another, and it tends to be the bigger, stinkier game.
Yes, right.
I had a coon dog that he liked bears, and he just kind of shut off on coon.
Yep.
Where were you guys hunting when you guys got on the bear? Was that Pennsylvania?
That was Pennsylvania with Babe. I was hunting Babe in Pennsylvania, Doyle Sherman, and I can't remember. Jeff Brooks was on the cast, and wow. And I'm up in the cast. Babe went in, jammed one up. I'm up. The other two dogs, they got on the track, and we didn't. Heck, I didn't. And it sounded like they'd run it for a while and bay it up and then run it for a while. Wow. They're wanting to call timeout, I'm like, no, I'm good. About that time I heard Babe in, she decided to join the chase, and yeah, we called timeout and we got him. A guy seen the bear across the road, but wow, I was impressed how far and how fast they could move a bear. But yeah,
Yep.
Luckily got the dogs caught, and I ended up winning the cast. But wow.
Not too often you guys get to do that, especially where you live.
No.
No.
Yeah.
They're not bear broke, huh?
No.
It works out pretty good, the group we got. And Chuck's probably got the raw end of the deal. He gets stuck with the puppies and the phone calls.
Yeah, we get the fun part. Chuck gets the tough part, and that's one thing. He's got he deals with all the public, and me and we load up and we go to the hunt, and he does all the,
All the behind the
all the
scenes.
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot that goes into it.
Mm-hmm. But thing that also sticks out with me, like I said, the consistency is you guys have a good team, though. And I think that's another big thing. You wouldn't have done all this by yourself.
No, not at all. I mean, it started in the beginning, and then Mark was younger then, and he was hunting and stuff. And Ronnie came over one day, and he said, "Hey, I want you to go out with this dog." I said, "Okay." And he said, "Some people want to go in half with me on it." And he asked me, "What do you think?" And I kind of told Ronnie, I said, my advice to you is, if you don't need the money, don't take on a partner. I said, it's not really a great thing to do, I don't think, but that's my opinion. And so we went out with the dog, and it was one of ours, and Ronnie was telling me how good he was doing, and so we went out the woods, and man, he looked really good. And so we got done that night. He says, "What do you think?" And I said, "I think he's pretty good." And he says, "Well, some guys want to go in half." And I said, "Well, I'm telling you again, I probably wouldn't do it unless you really want. If you need the money, I'd say go ahead." And Ronnie said to me, he said, "No, you don't understand." He said, "I want you to go in half with me on the dog." And I says, "Oh man, Ronnie," I said, "I'm going to tell you again, I won't do it." So I told him, "Let's sleep on it, and we'll talk about it in the morning." And I guess we went out with the dog one more time. We went out the next day again, and the dog looked just as good as he did the day before. And so we slept on it that night. And the next day, Ronnie says, "Well, what do you think?" And I says, "Well, I'll be honest with you." I said, "I'd sure rather own half of that dog than none of it." So that's how Ronnie and I got started. And and I'll tell you what, these guys have really been good. I'm not kidding you. It's been a blast. We have fun doing this. We enjoy it. If the dog screws up, or one of us screws up or makes a mistake or a bad call, that's going to happen in every hunt, or the chance every time you go out, but nothing is ever said one way or the other. Hey, that's how it goes.
Yep.
Take it easy coming home, and everything's good. But
they're rough on me, though. I can't make no mistakes. They pound me, boy. Blake, Jared, and Jake, they I don't live it down. They stay on me, so.
They expect more out of you.
That jealousy thing coming out again.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So what are some memorable hunts?
I've got one that probably will always stick out in my mind. Ronnie was scared to death. Blake was scared to death that Ronnie was going to kill him. It was at a world hunt, and it was the night before the world hunt. And I think I'm going to let Blake or Ronnie take the rest of that story, because they definitely know what I'm talking about.
I'll let Ronnie. He was handling the dog that weekend.
Handle the dog. I didn't get to handle all weekend.
Yeah, that one.
We were Albany, Kentucky. This is the story, right?
That's the story.
And had the dogs out. We're this little one-level hotel, and it was a real nice place.
Sounds like it.
I only get the best for the boys, And
$39.95.
$39.95. And I think my son was there with Devin. My son was with us on this hunt, and Mark and Blake, and we had the dogs out letting them eat and stuff. And I had a water bowl there, and I told Devin, I said, when he's done drinking, scoot that water bowl and let Siri have some. And I just had Siri on they had the high quality lawn furniture, some plastic chairs, so I just looped the lead over, and I said, I got to run over to the store and grab something. Well, somehow that chair scooted, and when it scooted, it totally freaked her out. And when she lunged, the chair's chasing her.
Yep.
And I come out of the store and I see Blake running across the parking lot, and the first thing comes to mind, what's these idiots doing? You know, they're always clowning around, throwing something at each other, hitting each other lead straps. And I seen the look on his face like, this ain't good. And Devin, my son, goes, Siri just run away. So we go looking which way she went. It's just getting about dark.
Yep, right about dusk.
Right about dusk. And Blake actually seen her run over a hill, little wooded area, across the parking lot, and across the 4-lane.
Oh, jeez.
And the main drag of the town. And it went, where she crossed, went right up into a dead-end alley, I believe.
Yeah, it was a little dead-end road along a cemetery.
And let me tell you, this wasn't a good neighborhood. And my boy had sprinted as soon as he knew she went that way, and there was some people out on their, out in a car and front porch there, and the car took off. So we looked, and me and my boy, he took me down there and said, this is the house where she was heading. This car took off from here. Well, a guy happened to walk out, and Devin goes, that was one of the guys out. We go, hey, you happen to see a dog go by here? And he goes, no, I haven't been out all night. So, you're thinking, oh, no. So we looked, and we thought, Blake thought he heard her. He called me. I go, where are you at? And he goes, I don't know, So him and my son, they walked through. I think they both had Crocs on.
Crocs and basketball shorts.
Walking through it's really grown up, and I don't know how far they walked. It's a house dog, so, But we looked all night. The police department there was awesome. They helped me look, and they check in on me, call me, and I'll let you take it from here, Blake, because you're kind of the one that got hooked up.
So it's daylight, and I look at Ronnie. I said, I'm not hunting today. After this, we need to find Siri. He said, nope. He said, you've got that yellow dog ready. You need to hunt. So we draw out. He takes off to go look for Siri still. I hunt my cast. Was fortunate enough to get through. Well, I'm talking to the guide on the way back, and he tells us about a dog trader jockey down in that area. He said, you need to go check here.
That happened to be related to the people
at
the house that we seen the car leave. Yeah.
So I get back to the clubhouse, and I tell Ronnie, I said, hey, this is what my guide told me. And he said, well, where's it at? I said, just chill. I said, I had already stopped a cop in town, and they were going out there because, it's a small town. Everybody was aware. So I get drawn back out to semifinals, and Ronnie takes off back into town, and police officer called you.
I'm going to interrupt a minute. Everything's true so far, other than Ronnie calling me about 25 times saying he screwed up, he's scared to death, we're never going to see her again.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So then when I didn't know all this had gone with Blake at that time, and until I got back to the club and he told me, and then the sheriff called. Well, they ended up taking, I think, the state patrol, the sheriff, and city police ended up going there. Well, in the meantime, I was going to have Brian Leverage's dad was taking me. I was going to have him drop me off on the other side of a mountain that run into town, and I was going to walk this whole ridge and walk it back into town. Well, I didn't know this, but he was actually taking me to this dog trader's house.
Okay.
But the police officer happened to call on the way there and said, where are you at? I think I got your dog. I go, what? He goes, I think you got your dog. I said, well, I wanted to take one more lap around the hotel. He goes, I'm right behind the hotel. And he goes, I'll meet you there in the parking lot. Pull in, and here he come pulling. Siri's on the front seat and going nuts when she's seen, I swear. And when she left, she had one of the leather rolled leads, brass, and it was muddy and it rained down there. And, the brass, I get her out, and the lead, there was no rub. You're running asphalt, you're going to have the brass wore down or the lead scratch. I mean, it was clean as a whistle. So here he found her right down the street from the dog trader. So I think they put enough pressure on them. Yeah. And I'm not kidding you. It wasn't, I hadn't left yet. I was getting in my truck to leave, and the dog trader showed up, and he goes, "Did you get your dog?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Thank goodness, I've had every law person in Kentucky here." And so, but
Yep.
I would say I'm not gonna, it was kind of fishy.
So
Yeah.
that was a win in itself, at least getting her
Yeah.
back, because we never thought we'd see her again.
Oh,
I
yeah.
honestly didn't.
So, like I said, I had got through the first round, and I had got drawn out in the semis.
Mm-hmm.
In this while Ronnie was in town there, and got lucky and got through the semis. So we're on cloud nine. We got Siri back, and we got a dog in the finals. And
You had a
Mark-
shootout that day.
Mark says, "Hey," he said, we was getting ready to leave out for the finals. He said, "Can I go and do a play-by-play?" And everybody agreed. So it was me, and I was hunting high voltage, and Jeremy McQuarrie was hunting the little live wire dog that Doyle Sherman owned at that time. And for the life of me, I can't remember the other dog. But we turned loose, and we had a 90-minute cast that was a pure shootout. It was a squirrel treeing clinic. I mean, the live wire dog would get treed and Bones would get treed, and it came down to the end. And me and live wires tied, and there's 3 minutes left, and we turned back loose. And I told him, I said, I've got to get one more tree. And we turned loose, and he opened his mouth. I treat him. I know it wasn't right, but I treat him. I had to roll the dice. And he ended up treeing there, and we start to him, and he shut up, and they put the 2 on me. And we looked down, and he's trying to timber a squirrel, but we couldn't see the squirrel. So I took my minus, but that was a fun hunt.
Yeah. Even not winning, a good hunt like that's
Oh yeah,
way better than, and you win with a circle tree or something.
right.
It's just not as good.
And I spectated Ronnie's cast the year he won the WTDA World Hunt with Siri, and she put on a clinic that day. I mean, she went in there and was popping them up like popcorn, treeing squirrels right around them, and she blew through the country the last drop. And I looked at him. I said, "You got this thing won, buddy." And we was on quite a little roll right then. It was Siri, Bones. We was getting in the finals. We went 3 or 4 hunts right there, and then we was getting Joe ready, and that was at the WTDA World Hunt, and I don't remember if that was that 20?
20, I think.
And Ronnie was hunting Siri. He got in the finals, and Mark was hunting Joe, and he got in the finals. And trying to think what other dog, king size.
It was king size.
Of Garrick Shads.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a terrible day. I mean, it's cold, blowing. So, one of them days, gray squirrels aren't going to move. And we turned loose, and Joe went through there 700 and gets treed. And me and Ronnie looked at each other, and we said, well, he sat down a tree. He's going to have a squirrel. One squirrel is all it's going to take to win this final cast. And he did.
I was telling Mark earlier, I hunted with Charlie, and it was kind of a misty, rainy, little nasty day, and he just put on a clinic that day, and I think had like 1,300 or something, and it was just squirrel after squirrel after squirrel. Had a little rough start, but once he started in, it was just, he got on a roll.
Yeah, that was Charlie's style. He didn't pass a squirrel, I promise you that.
Yeah,
and
he was real nice.
Tree every squirrel.
It was him and another little mountain cur. I was just guiding that cast, and I forget what that dog was, but he said he put on a clinic that day, and I remember Mark saying, he goes, "I think this is the best I've ever seen him look," but he was real young. That was before he even was a squirrel champion.
Yeah.
I'd probably, if I had to pick one hunt that I probably was a pretty cool hunt for me, and we'll take you back a few years on this one. And I was hunting a dog called Bud, and Mark was hunting a dog called Augie. And Mark had hunted Augie quite a bit. I think he might have gotten, I know Augie had 5 world hunt titles on him, and I think Mark might have put all 5 on him or 4 out of 5 on him. And Jay Overholt was in the finals with us, and I think he had Dead End Hawkeye at that time. And Hawkeye was out of Jukebox, Bud was out of Jukebox, and Augie was out of Jukebox.
That's pretty cool.
And Jay had a wedding something and thing that he had to go home on. So Mark and I hunted in the finals of the World Hunt. It came down to the last tree of the day. It was a great hunt, and it came down to the last tree of the day. And this is still hard for me to say, but he beat me. And what was neat, we had three jukebox dogs in the finals of the World Hunt. Got back to the clubhouse, and Don Motes was the owner of WTDA, and he said after having 3 jukebox dogs in the finals, he put jukebox in the Hall of Fame that night.
Nice.
So we had a really good day, good ride home.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it was all good, but yep, that was a hunt you always remember.
Mm-hmm.
I think the people that you meet along the road at these hunts that, you form a friendship with, to me, that means more than any title, any amount of money. There's several people, and I couldn't even start to name them all off, that we talk to on a weekly basis. And, it's a great group of guys. It really is.
No, I understand. That's getting to do this. I completely understand that. I talk to a lot of people that I would never get to talk to, and become friends with people like all across the country, and just great people. And it's definitely one of the best parts. So, what are you guys campaigning right now?
It's hard to quit on old Siri and high voltage, so, but we got a couple young females we're gonna try to get some hunts in on, and
Okay.
we just got one back from he's real young. He's not even a year old yet. We're gonna start hunting him, and yep, we got 2 other little young male dogs also. So yeah.
Do you guys prefer hunting males or females?
I prefer female, but I think Chuck prefers males. Blake prefers males, but I like females. But
Okay.
except when it comes, that twice a year that gets you at the most.
Unopportune times.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Oh, you should see Ronnie right before a World
Oh,
Hunt.
I'm nervous.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, every time that he thinks that dog's peeing too much in the woods, he's checking her out. And sometimes we don't even get to hunt, or she doesn't get to hunt because he's checking her so much because he's nervous.
That's definitely the worst. But I don't know. I've always been that way with any kind of dog. If it was a beagle, if it was a coonhound, I've always I don't know. I like females. I think they're more getting to the business earlier at an earlier age. They mature faster, I think. I don't know. Like I said, it just might be one of them things. It's just me, but
I was just curious because you guys have had a lot of males, but then you've also had some females as well.
Babe was unbelievable.
The babe dog was one of her favorites. She even had a little bit of a yak in her voice, and almost when she hit that on a cold morning, and it would come down with a big yak and a crack at the end of it. She pulled a lot of dogs. That dog thought she has to have a bear treat over there, and but she was a real deal. She was. Siri's a real deal. So we've had a couple of our dogs just been, as far as the female side goes, really well. A female, I always say this, male dog will make you famous.
Yeah.
But a female dog will keep you famous.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a whole bunch of truth to that. And it's just kind of like right now, Blake, high voltage is his dog. He's got the handle on that dog. That's what he's going to do. And Ronnie's got Siri right now, and Mark's got Joe right now. So, I mean, everybody kind of sets in on their own dog. Now, I'm not saying they won't handle another dog.
Yeah.
If they can't go or whatever, one of them might switch.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the times they're set in on, if you want to say, the dog they've been handling.
Yeah, makes sense.
Everybody's got their own little quirks they like certain ways. You know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't let you can't let Blake and Ronnie go hunting together even this afternoon because they're still arguing who treed first and who had the most points. And
he never can find my squirrels either.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
You got to have them for me
Blake's
to
got
find them.
these sunglasses that look like a horse blinders when it comes time to search for Ronnie's squirrel. Yeah.
To me, being bringing it in, in the later years, never in a million years when I went and bought that brindle pup would I have thought I would have got the opportunities that these guys have made possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have fun, I'll tell you that. I mean,
That's awesome.
And these guys are jokesters, and my son-in-law Jared, he'll hunt a dog too. And I remember one time I was trying to get ready for a hunt, and I'm pretty serious. I'm trying to listen to the dog, see what she's doing, trying to figure out what. I don't even remember what dog I was hunting at the time.
I do. It was Judy Poor.
Okay, and these two are over here hitting each other with saplings and throwing hickory nuts at each other, and I go, guys, come on, I'm trying to get a dog ready. I said, this is like being on a field trip with two fourth graders. And that's where I got the name Chaperone. But I mean, even on our, we've traveled a lot of miles together, and it's never a dull moment, let me tell you. And Blake's probably saved me. I get a little road rage sometimes, and but yeah, we have fun. We definitely have fun doing it. Yeah.
We was at a hunt. It wasn't very long after Chuck had just bought his new Toyota. He sends us to the hunt, and this thing probably ain't got 5,000 miles on it at this point.
Yeah, probably not.
And we had to baja it a little bit on a coon hunt. And up until about a week ago, I still don't think Chuck thought we were serious.
They sent him a video, and he thought it was one on they got on the internet.
Yeah, there was water halfway up the truck doors.
It was his new Tundra.
And believe me, these guys, there's no seriousness in them. It's like they'll make a laugh out of the worst thing that can happen. They might be mad at a moment, but pretty soon they're making fun of what happened. And they sent me this video, and yeah, it's the same color as my truck and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah, it was definitely your truck.
Well, Blake got married last week, and so the truth come out. They said, well, we might as well tell you that was your truck.
You're welcome.
Well, one last thing I want to touch on is it looks like you guys have a blast every year. You guys have this meat hunt. I want to know a little more about it because it looks like a blast.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be, I guess. It's like it started with maybe you could have three team members. You can have 4. It's everybody throws into a pot, so you can kill your limit of squirrels, and then they weigh them at the end of the day, and you can hunt with dogs or without dogs. Most everybody hunts with dogs. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to come and check in the morning or anything like that. You can hunt from your house or with your buddy's house, and we give so many points for every squirrel you bring in, and we give you a ticket, and so many if you tree and shoot a coon, okay, you get so many tickets for that, and then it goes into a raffle. We sell some raffle tickets for a couple guns, and then we split the money up a little bit, and we give out maybe some jukebox gear at the. We have a big feed at the end of the day, but it really is fun. It's a day of hunting, and it's just fun again.
And there's guys that actually traveled out of state the last one he had. So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah, it kind of really grew from just something real small, a couple of neighborhood guys to
I know Alan Franklin, and Adam Loudon, I think Kenny
Yep.
Smith come over, and I mean, yeah,
I think the last one there was 18 or 19 teams.
yeah.
But it's kind of back to what we've been saying from the very beginning. It's no one is safe in this. Don't think that if you come that you won't get picked on some way, somehow you'll be made fun of, and sometimes we'll send you home. We're laughing, but you might not be. But that's as long as we're laughing, we're happy.
There you go. Well, if someone's interested in a jukebox bred mountain cur, how do they find you guys?
Probably the Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
If you just go to Jukebox Kennel,
Okay.
you can message us on the page. Usually it'll be Mark or
Me or Blake or one
yeah.
of us that'll get
Yeah.
back with you and send
Yeah.
you in the right direction. So.
I'll send you on to probably to talk to me, but sometimes me and Siri and the rest of those phone people don't get along very well.
You know you don't have to use Siri to text, right?
Yeah, well, she doesn't always listen to me, but I guess she's a lot like Jody too, so I'm used to it.
Well, I appreciate you guys sitting down with me.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep 'em talking in the timber.